I am Nellan Hunt for We News. I'm here in New York. Thank you for joining us yet another week of interesting interviews and insights into the people of our diaspora all over the world doing what we would like to call We Thing. With me today is artist Adam Williams, originally from Trinidad, now residing in Toronto. Adam, thank you so much for joining us today on We News. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for asking me.
So, quick question. When we're all growing up, we want to become doctors, lawyers, firemen, nurses, and all of these other great but boring, normal, typical run-of-the-mill things. How did you become an artist? How did you choose to become an artist?
Okay, that is a very easy question because in school, I was bad at math and science, and just about everything else. So by process of elimination, I went into art.
So Adam, what was your parents' response when you said to them, I think I want to be an artist?
I think I was very lucky. My parents also realized that it was my strength, and forcing me to go into accounting was, maybe not the best thing. Up until this day, they are still very supportive of my pursuits, and I feel very blessed that they have always encouraged me to follow my dreams. So, yeah.
And how did you decide which medium you were going to use, and what is the medium that you mainly use for your art?
It's a good question because I started in drawing and painting as a child and a teenager. I actively painted. I didn't have a big social life, and as you know, Trinidad is a very social place. And I would spend my Friday nights painting as a teenager instead of going out. When I was doing art in university, I was again mostly painting. I took an intro class into ceramics, and I got bitten by the bug. It derailed my plans to become a painting art star, and
the new Van Gogh.
I like to think I've given that spot to someone a little bit more deserving. And no, clay became, it's as if it chose me.
Yeah.
And it was, again, it would have been like going into accounting. It was just unfolding, and I realized this is what I wanted to do more. And I've continued to work in clay. So that's how I landed up where I am.
Is clay a difficult, apart from the glorification that we've all seen on Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, how easy is it to get involved in the creation of something that you might choose to make in clay? No pressure from the Ghost movie.
Little aside, when people talk about when they talk about Ghost, I'm like, you mean like the scene in Ghost? I would respond, you mean the murder scene? What scene are you talking about? I do not condone murder. Absolutely. Clay is very easy, very forgiving. So regardless of your strengths and weaknesses as a person, as a maker, there's a place for everybody. Some people prefer hand building, so just crafting projects by hand. Other people prefer the pottery wheel. The pottery wheel is tricky, and it takes weeks, it takes months, years to really perfect, but it's not everybody's choice. Some people make mold making, so they're pouring liquid clay into a mold. When it dries, it pops out and you have a finished piece. It's anyone can bring to it what their own skill level. So no, I think it's very accessible to people. And when people enroll at classes, whether it be a studio like my own or sign up for a pottery class, wherever, they can find their niche that works nicely for them.
Okay, Adam, we're going to take a quick break because, of course, we have to pay some bills. When we come back, we'll continue talking a little bit more about the wheel, because that's what most people know. And then we'll go into, what's it like now to be on the other side of the blackboard per se, now that you're a teacher, having been a student of this for quite a while. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back on Nallen Hunt. This is We News. Stay tuned.
Hey, check it. Hey, step. Times are changing. This is a different day. I now waiting. Let we embrace the change. Now we vetting harder than everybody. So when last I went to a private party in right home, give me the passcode, affecting on my phone. Oh, Instagram live mode, I in the right zone. It don't matter where we are, let we start it. Living room is my playground, I watch it turn to the stadium. Affecting us with the day ones, and we don't fret when the rain comes. My living room is my playground, I watch it turn to the stadium. We mash up life any day come, and we don't fret when the rain comes. This is our private party, private party. This is our private party. Everybody jump down on the ground, all on the ground, all in the pillows. Come down on the ground, all on the ground, mass in the pillows. Look at feathers all over we, in this private party. Got people online with me, in this private party. So much vibes and I can't believe it. Private party mad, we too bad, Set you up in my private space, 6 feet from me, wind your waist. Flip camera, don't hide your face. Show me some private ways. Sign up the bumper right there for me. You're cutting it smooth like Hennessy. Flip camera and wind your waist. Give me a private place. A party in right home. Give me the passcode. Affecting on my phone. Oh, Instagram live mode. I in the right zone. It don't matter where we are. Let we start it. Living room is my playground. I watch it turn to the stadium. Affecting us with the day ones, and we don't fret when the rain comes. My living room is my playground. I watch it turn to the stadium. We mash up life any day come, and we don't fret when the rain comes.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Nallen Hunt here in New York. We're speaking with Adam Williams, master potter, artist in Toronto. Adam, before we went to commercial, you were talking about the wheel. And the reason I'm asking about the wheel is because it's what most people know. And you said it's something that takes weeks, sometimes months. Is that one of the most popular formats in your classes? Now do people come in and go, I want to make a clay pot, and they think they drop the clay on and it spins and you mold and it's done. Walk us through making something on the wheel.
So your first question, is it the most popular selling point of pottery classes? And the answer is yes. And I think social media has done a marvelous job of seducing the public into signing up for pottery. And there is a shock that students experience when they've watched those videos, but when they tried themselves, it is a total hot mess, and clay is everywhere, and it's a disaster. To walk you through the steps, well, you're not going to create anything that you would like for the first, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks of classes. And it's like signing up for any difficult skill, whether you're learning Spanish or you want to learn basketball, so in the case of, let's say, languages, you learn the alphabet. What can you do with the alphabet? Not very much, but it's the first thing you have to do. So, I break it up into baby steps, and a chunk of my job is telling, let's say, you, the student, step 1, step 2, step 3. 3/4 of my job is just coaching that person, telling them they're doing great, telling them for 3 weeks of class, you're actually really good. So,
Actually, really.
I
good.
mean, learning it's about framing it for people and giving them perspective that they're on track.
Yeah.
And I think as students progress, they change what they thought they wanted to study when they started here. They develop a great appreciation of hand building. They realize that the wheel isn't always about making the perfect item, but making it wonky is actually quite nice sometimes. So yeah, like anything you start, your views and your desires change.
Adam, you took the next step from doing your art, what one may describe as part-time, or as projects may have arisen. And as a side note here to everyone looking on, the now President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, actually have Adam Williams pottery somewhere in their house, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't you do a project some years ago with Cocoa Bell Chocolates for some items that were being made? See?
That was the Summit of the Americas, or the Summit of Americas, maybe.
Commonwealth Heads of Government.
That Obama or Bush in office?
It was when Obama was in office. It was the Commonwealth Heads of Government. Actually, yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so
could have been.
After this interview, I'm going to re-edit my my CV to mention that.
You forgot about that.
I think you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did a project with Cocoa Bell Chocolates in Trinidad, some of the best chocolates in the world. And you guys were commissioned to do just some little pieces. Your clay work, if I'm using the right term, was used to carry the chocolate products that they were given. So kudos to you. Now that that's why I said you're a master potter and that kind of thing. You're now a teacher, and the name of your school is Clay Space. Where are you located in Toronto?
So we are maybe 15 minutes east of Center City.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually part of a very unique neighborhood, which is Toronto's Little India. So I think it is actually North America's largest Little India, in a collection of Pakistani and Indian restaurants.
Right.
And it is relatively new to this area. I've been here a year, and it's been a recent discovery, but a beautiful part of the city. So yeah, we opened the studio in March of last year. A great time to start business.
Perfect.
So yes, it's been stop and start as regulations have kicked in, as they've been eased. We had, let's say, August through November, we were running classes before we had to close again, but it was very popular. So in spite of the pandemic, the studio has been successful. The pandemic has been a mixed blessing because a new business, there's a lot of setup that has to take place. And so when you're shut for business, you can do a lot of catch up. So yeah, it's been mixed.
And what's your website for people who want to go and take a look at, the classes, the artwork, the pieces that are available? Because not only are you a teacher, but you also, as I mentioned before, an accomplished artist. So you do have shows, or have had shows from time to time. What's your website for Clay Space, Adam?
The site is clayspacestudio.com.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break. Sorry to interrupt, but we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at Clay Space and what it's doing now. Everyone, you're watching Nell and Hunt for We News here in New York. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
The spirit is carnival. Put you up. Bolo que my rose fresh day.
Make it two, I want one.
Chaser done. We have to drink straight.
Alright.
Look, the police coming, low down the music, the police is coming. I ain't taking no lock up falling.
You're too wicked.
You know they go call for my name.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to We News. I'm Nellen Hunt. With me today is artist Adam Williams, where he is speaking to us from his studio in Toronto called Clay Space Studio. Adam, I'm noticing some really nifty looking, dare I say, tea mugs or coffee mugs behind you.
Well, you could drink whatever you want out of them, you know.
Vodka mugs.
So yes, these are my these are the sampling of some of the pieces that we make here. Typically, this is a teaching studio, but we have pivoted to do some more retail because of the pandemic. So yeah.
So there are pieces for sale as well.
There are. We were selling in December for the Christmas season, and we've kept the display and the retail going. And yeah, these are one of a kind handmade pieces, mostly made on the wheel. Some are hand built, and that's it. I have I'm working with I believe a mutual friend of ours, another Trinidadian artist, Josh Lucci-Kong.
Yes,
He
yes.
just finished his
his work.
And we've been collaborating on trying to get a mini production going. So the two of us working together to get more pieces finished.
Now, when you say a mini collaboration, are you creating, okay, so you have those the mugs in the background. Are you creating sets? Like, are you creating sets where it's 4 mugs, 4 plates, 4 bowls? Or is it really, you know, it depends on what you feel might be the most attractive product to have ready for retail?
No, that's a very good question. We are still working out the details, but eventually there will be an online shop. The lockdown will lift, and this space has to return to a teaching space. So most of these things will be for sale online from the website. And we are trying to figure out many practical things. In other words, you pick this cup online and you happen to want to get 50 of them. Are we able to deliver on 50 or 100? So it's very much like, I guess, a restaurant thinking about a menu and how can they keep doing this over and over again. So, and then the trick is to make something that you can do over and over, but is still attractive and interesting. Because if you just dip it in one color, why are you going to bother to pay a premium price for a handmade item?
So those items that are on the table behind you, how long typically would one of those take to create, from chunk of clay to finished beautiful work of art that is functional like that?
From beginning to end, we're talking about a week to do like a batch of them. We're trying to do designs that are a little faster so they don't drag on to 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But again, a little faster, but also interesting, and the things that we find attractive to make.
Could you go through the typical steps of creating something from clay? You talk about the molding and then painting, but how is an item made typically?
So your audience will be familiar with the Central Potters in Trinidad, and there's still many communities around the world that do dig and quarry their own clay. In a city like this, we buy clay already mixed and made by a supplier. After that, we go to the pottery wheel, we'll make a batch of them. So we're not a huge studio, so I'm doing maybe 10 cups a day, sometimes 20 a day. And they are fired in the kiln once. They are dipped into a glaze, which is mostly glass. It will melt once it reaches a high temperature, and it's put in the kiln a second time. So let me pause and say, so silica is basically powdered glass.
Right.
And so when you look at a shiny surface, at any ceramic item, including your bathroom sink and toilet, that is basically a layer of melted glass that was painted or dipped onto that raw clay. To back up, I will say what a kiln is. It's basically a big oven, actually more like a big toaster that curly wires radiate heat, and it reaches about 2190 Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So your audience members.
That's a lot of crispy toast. And once that is done, you dry, and then do you finish by doing any more painting, or by the dipping process and then the firing and then going back in? That's done. It's now ready for use.
Pretty much. And when I said painting or dipping it into a glaze, part of a handmade studio like this is that we are trying to create mini pieces of art. So in fact, it's most of the effort is put into decoration. So that might mean stenciling and using tape, and then ripping that off once you've painted it. That might be hand painting designs. So, you know, it is an art market. You are competing against other artisans, consumers who are looking for interesting and unique items. So you're trying to build on a tradition, make a coffee cup more interesting than an IKEA coffee cup or a dog.
You know, Adam, it's been such an education, and I think people will appreciate even more the fact that, as you've said, there's so many local places in Trinidad doing it, and for so long we've seen little pockets of it here and there. I think as the art itself is evolving, we are seeing more and more people are having more shows. There is more exposition, and of course, during the current global event taking place, we are all now challenged to basically find ways to promote what we were doing once before in a different way. So, you know, definitely kudos to you for sticking with it during openings and closings. And, you know, it's wonderful that you're able to teach people and to continue the art form and to hand down what you have learned, because now you are creating legacies and traditions. So one day, you know, we could say, well, you know, we knew Adam Williams when.
Well, I have worked at the White House. I don't know if you knew that already.
So I'd like to say thank you so very much for joining us today. Everyone, even if you're not in Toronto, that's what the online world is about. It's Clay Space Studio. Take a look at the website, take a look at what's there. You'll be very, very pleasantly surprised. And you will be very happy with anything you order from them online, as you've seen from a little bit of what Adam has had to offer us today. And there is so much more coming. On behalf of everyone here at We News, I'm Nalan Hunt saying thank you for tuning in. Have a safe and pleasant evening.